This meeting of the Finance Committee for November 6, 2025 is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman at-large Keith Larson.
Here.
Alderman Dan Barrero.
Here.
Alderman Edward J. Bug.
Here.
Vice Chair Carl Franco.
Here.
And Chairman Masiakis is present.
Thank you, clerk. Do we have any members of the public wishing to provide offer public comment?
Yes, we do.
Could you please read the first name on the list?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the Finance Committee for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the Finance Committee shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment. Brenda Genter.
That was not a Trump move, meaning trying to trump you, so I appreciate you reading the public comment requirement.
That's
No, thank you for being astute.
Lynn Genter.
Good afternoon.
Please come up to the podium, state your name as well, and once the green light appears, you have 3 minutes.
This is a first. Oh, good afternoon. I thank you so much for giving me the chance to share a few thoughts about something I care deeply about. I am a resident of Ward 1, your ward, and a subscriber to the Paramount Broadway series and an attender of many other Paramount Stope, Copley, and River Edge shows. I am also a donor and proud of our strong Paramount Nation that gives so generously. And in addition, I'm an usher at the Paramount and the Copley and the Stope theaters. And perhaps I've had a chance to seat some of you, who knows. Next time I do, say hi. The thought of our city cutting the funding for the ACCA is really distressing to those of us who treasure the Paramount theaters. When my husband and I moved here from Minnesota, downtown Aurora was kind of like a ghost town. Very few businesses or restaurants. And you must realize, I would believe you have to realize that the Paramount Theater is the primary reason that the city has begun to thrive, to buzz with activity, new businesses, new restaurants, new apartments, new condo buildings. The leadership of the Paramount, after the other cuts, have made deep and painful cuts already. And I thank them for doing it as carefully as they can. But any further cuts could bring us down. It really could. The last time I ushered at the Copley, several patrons were very distressed or expressed regret that the Copley now had to cut the Bold series. And, because they've enjoyed it and they've attended regularly and so forth. And so I said, well, be sure to let people know. But anyway, I'm worried that if you do truly cut all the funding to the ACCA, that the Paramount will go down. I mean, really down, because that's a big business to run, as you know, and shows aren't cheap to put on. And I believe if the Paramount goes down, the downtown Aurora will go down. And I don't want to see that happen. I love Aurora. So please do what you can to help this vital organization to keep going. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work that you do for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Genter. Clerk, do you have anyone else wishing to provide public comment?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you. Clerk, could you please read the first item on the agenda?
Item 25-0816, review of the proposed 2026 city budget, public works, and public facilities.
Okay, Mr. Bauer, you're up. The floor is yours when you're ready to begin.
Okay. Good afternoon. Jason Bauer with the Department of Public Works. So as the item indicates, we're here to go over the Department of Public Works budget. I guess as a first, to kind of get into things, I was thinking it would be a good idea to introduce the team. I know you've probably not all met everyone that's in the Public Works. We've got a number of different divisions, so Chairman, how would you want them to stand up when I introduce them? Would you like them to come up to the
I'd love if they
podium?
come to the podium.
Sure.
So the community at large can also hear their name and see the face to the name.
Kurt Muth, Assistant Director of Public Works. Good afternoon. Mario Benavides, Assistant Superintendent of the Street Division.
Robert Lively, Superintendent of the Water Production Division.
Good afternoon. I'm John Blickham, the Assistant Superintendent of Water and Sewer.
Hi, Anna Borosnitz, Zoo Manager of Phillips Park Zoo.
Good afternoon, Jeff Schmidt, Superintendent of Golf Operations, Phillips Park.
Good afternoon, Steve Kaliza, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation.
Good afternoon, Chris Linville, Superintendent of Fleet Operations.
Steve Andrus, Airport Manager.
Derek Winston, Director of Public Facilities.
Okay. So that's the bulk of the team. We do have, so Mario and John are here. They're taking the place, they're the assistant superintendents to Mike Houston, who's the superintendent of water and sewer maintenance. And Adrian Perez is the superintendent of street maintenance. And then we also have the electrical maintenance division, and that's, it's set up a little differently. That's actually a working supervisor position, so it doesn't have a superintendent. So that supervisor is Joe Shagg, and he's out fixing wires for streetlights right now. So that seemed like pretty important to stay on top of that. So I told him if there were any electrical questions that we would take those for him. So as you can see, our group is relatively large. We have merged back with public facilities. It's basically the way that the department was organized in about 2021. I believe it changed at the end of 21 going into the 22 calendar year. So this presentation is only going to be going over the operational aspect. We are going to be back in a couple weeks to talk about the capital improvement plan. As you all know, Kurt and I are here quite frequently with a lot of the bigger projects, but this is really focusing on the operational side of things. So when we come back in a few weeks, we'll have highlights for some of the larger projects that were done in 25 and some of the ones that are scheduled for 26. So on this one, again, we're going to be basically focusing on operations. And the funding for those, there's basically 4 key funding components. We've got the general fund, the water and sewer fund, the transit and MVPS funds, and then the golf fund. So that's going to be the bulk of what we're going over today. So just a recap in how some of those funds have changed from 25 to 26. As you can see, the general fund is one of the largest pots of money that we use for operations, and we're going into 26 at a reduction of about 13%, or 4.3 million. Water and sewer, that's an enterprise fund. Anything that's collected from water and sewer can only be spent on water and sewer. So when we were asked to look at decrements and adjustments, as you all know, we came forward earlier this year with a water rate adjustment, so we did not look at doing any decrements to the water and sewer fund. Transit and MVPS, that's actually 2 different pots of money, but they're relatively small, and together we had a reduction of about 5% going from 25 to 26. And again, those are dedicated funding sources that are only used for certain operations dedicated to both parking and the transit, which would be 59 and 25, the ATC, and then Illinois Route 59 train stations. And then the golf fund, again, being an enterprise fund, that one we did not look to do any major decreases from a budget standpoint. So it remained about the same, an increase of about 4%. And similarly with the airport, that one fluctuates year to year depending on decision packages. That also has a dedicated funding source, but even so, it's still just based on the work that's planned for 2026, it's going down about 31%. Some of the major accomplishments, even though this was a capital improvement project, it was pretty important for us, was the opening of the new Public Works facility. So every division that's going to be moving into that building is there, with the exception of Fleet. Fleet is coming over in probably about a month. We're just waiting on the completion of the fuel station out back. From a facility standpoint, there were a number of roof replacements, and the remodel of the finance and purchasing space on the 4th floor. Oh, and also the ADA assessment at all the city buildings, which we'll use as a template moving forward to make improvements to get everything up to standards for current ADA compliance. At the golf course, we are in the process of upgrading the driving range vending system so that you can make purchases at the driving range and not go into the clubhouse. We added 25 hybrid and 10 electric vehicles to the fleet. We resurfaced Lot C downtown and Fire Station 8, the front lot, that's also customer service. And another critical one, which was big for water production, was meeting the deadlines for all the new lead and copper testing, which was a pretty significant undertaking, takes a lot of time, and we were able to comply with all those deadlines. As far as operational goals for 26, we're going to keep looking for any grant opportunities that come our way so that we can help reduce the strain on the capital improvement plan. We'll be implementing new safety procedures. We've been working this entire year with a consultant who's basically going over all of our procedural documents and our training matrices to make sure that everyone is getting the proper training that they need and making sure that all of our operational guidelines are up to date as well. It's been a long time since anyone's looked at those, so we're working with a firm called Hygineering and looking very much forward to implementing those improvements. I have just recently completed the corrosion control study at the water treatment plant, so next year we'll be implementing those changes at the plant. And obviously, every single year, one of our most critical goals is to reduce non-revenue water. So again, next year, we'll be coming forward with suggested improvements and capital projects that will include district monitoring, district metering, meter replacements. It's a big goal for us to keep that number coming down. It's been coming down a couple % for each year for the last 3 or 4 years, and we want to continue that trend. Another big goal for us, one of the decision packages coming forward is for another Vector truck. We want to formalize actually have a formal catch basin cleaning program. We do it reactionary now. It'd be good to stay in front of that. We're working on the sign inventory. That's something that we're required to have updated federally, and we are working forward on to completing that next year. The city clinic build out, that's going to be underway and hopefully open in 26. We've got some upgrades to the first floor here at City Hall. As always, we're looking to, as we expand the fleet, we're looking for electric options or hybrid options, and we'll be looking to install more charging stations throughout town. And next year, we also hope to overlay the main parking lot at the ATC Route 25 train station. So some of the key approved decision packages for the department in engineering, 3 new positions, which I know it's kind of a shock to come forward with new positions given what we're at budgetarily, but all 3 of these are going to reduce what we need to pay consultants. So as you know, the work never slows down, and we come forward with a lot of engineering contracts, whether it's design or field work. We spend a lot of money in that area, and just knowing the numbers that we've seen, we know that we can probably at the end of the day save on consulting by getting younger, our civil engineer position, that's a new grad, so we're hoping to get someone out of college that we can train. A lot of times when we hire these consultants, that's basically what we're getting, and we spend the time training them and getting them all ready to begin their careers as engineers, and then once they get their license, then they leave, and we repeat the process every 3 or 4 years. So we're looking forward to getting some younger engineers back on staff. For water production, they are going to be purchasing a new boom lift to help do improvements at the plant. It's a very handy piece of equipment that they've, from time to time they need one, that they need to rent it. So having one there will be very helpful to them. Some streets is also going to be getting some new equipment. Again, these are just some of the higher priced decision packages, not going over everything. So mower, mosquito sprayer for streets. There's the picture of the new Vector truck. Again, to have a 5th one in the fleet will really help us. Right now, we have 4, and there's almost always one that's in for some sort of repair, so we're only running 3. And the more we can stay ahead of catch basin cleaning and sewer cleaning, it's a lot less, it's better to be proactive than reactive, because we all know what happens when we're being reactive when there's a sewer backup or street flooding. It's not a good place to be. We'll also be doing the swimming stone brick replacement. The brick around the swimming stone is on its last legs, and we want to make sure we get that replaced so that everyone can enjoy running around in the water and not slipping because all the wearing surface is coming off. At the golf course, they are getting a new mower, the Groundsmaster 3500. They are doing, at the airport, the path indicator replacement. And also at the golf course, another big one, a very important one, is the rehabilitation of the irrigation pump housing controls. And just to go over some of the highlights of the decrement, again, this isn't everything. These are just some of the bigger ticket items on the things that we've looked to reduce. Our main goal when we looked at doing decrements was obviously to make sure we were looking at everything we could to not have to cut staff, because staffing of Public Works is pretty critical. So we looked first at either vacant positions or positions that would soon be vacated, and that's what we're reflecting here. So there's a number of positions in engineering that we are going to be removing from, we won't be filling them. And also, we're going to have a horticulturist retiring in February, and we're not going to backfill that position either, if that's for downtown services. There's some other things that we can delay, such as the traffic monitoring service. We're still in the process of vetting the vendors. By the time we finish that, we'll be able to go into 2027 and look to hire or to determine which software we're going to go with, but we can get by another year without doing that. Fuel, our fuel consumption, we believe, looking at the numbers, that we could trim what was budgeted down there. The fleet software upgrade, again, this is something that's needed, but something we can get by with. We can continue with the system that we have now, but eventually upgrading that system would be something we'd like to do, but again, that can be postponed to 27 or 28. Building and grounds, this is a summation of all the different divisions. So we basically looked at all the planned work, and we took out the wants and just went with the needs. So thinking roofs, boilers, rooftop units, tuck pointing, painting, things along those lines, whereas build outs of certain areas, maybe those can wait a couple of years. And then as a result, the consulting fees would come down as well, because we won't have to pay any architects to do those specific designs. So that's an overview of everything, but obviously we've got all the pros here that can answer any specific questions for budget line items or decision packages or any other questions that you have.
Well, if any of those pros would like to come up here, they're more than happy. They're more than welcome. If don't feel shy. I don't think we bite. But, with that said, I appreciate that, Director Bauer. I would like to start the Q&A session here with Alderman Keith Larson.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I just have one question about one of the decision packages, actually one you mentioned.
Can you give us a page number so we're all on the same?
Yeah, it's the decision package on page 677 for the engineering technician one. I noticed under the supplies there's a line item for a truck. I was looking through the budget and I don't see that line item there. There's also a line item just below that for fuel. I do see that. That's on page 682. I'm wondering, is the truck no longer in the decision package, or is there something missing from 682?
The vehicles, I think we put those in capital improvement fund, didn't we? It's Fund 340, so it's you could probably find it on another page toward the back.
That makes sense.
The vehicles we don't put through, particularly large ones, don't put those through the general fund. Well, we can point that out to you. If we want to move on to another question, we can come back.
Yep. Yeah, and we had a couple other vehicle requests too that going over with purchasing and finance that we're going to try and delay purchasing some vehicles and roll down some that are being returned from other divisions that are being replaced. A lot of our engineering needs we can meet with some of those roll down vehicles. So that one might have been removed. So we'll check and see if that's in there.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions for now? Okay, I'm gonna go on the other side. Alderman Danborough.
Good afternoon. So I have little tabs everywhere, but I'm going to start with just some general questions first. So thanks for the overview. It kind of eliminates some of my questions. So there's a couple of funds that are in the negative. And they're spending more money than revenue is available, and that's the motor vehicle parking system, transit, and golf. So they're in the negative by 960,000, 703,000, and 1 million. So are any of these funds supported by non enterprise funds? So are these being supported by capital funds or gaming tax funds? Some of these enterprise funds.
Yes, yeah, and in many years when the revenue isn't generated, or when the revenue generated isn't sufficient, yeah, they get transfers from the general fund or gaming or any number of other funds.
So this is to Brian then. So when that happens, then we're taking money to subsidize these funds out of capital or gaming tax, then that's less money available for the general fund.
Alderman, yes, that's true.
Okay, so if we were to try to minimize the subsidies, then we could have more money available for the general fund in some of these enterprise funds. So for example, a deferment of that irrigation system of 300,000 could help out the general fund.
I think that's a golf fund expenditure. And
right,
golf
but is
fund,
it being subsidized? Is that golf
I
fund
don't
being
think we have
subsidized
a subsidy anymore for golf. We used to. Chris, do you remember do we have a subsidy for golf anymore? Jeff, you probably know that too, don't you? I don't think we do anymore. We used to, Alderman.
So being in the negative in the golf fund is not being subsidized?
The golf fund has a balance in it that we've been able to draw down, and we try to get as on the operational side as close to balanced as possible, but with one-time expenditures like vehicles and whatnot, drawing on fund balances is fine, appropriate.
And Alderman, to your point, as you know, we did just come forward with the rate increases for golf. That just was at council the other night. We're aware that that there is room to still be competitive with other neighboring golf courses and raise the rates so that it doesn't need transfers from the general fund. And the same thing with transit. We don't want to run that one at deficit either, and those are things that should be generating enough funds to support themselves. So we'll be coming forward in the near future with discussion items at council with adjusting those rates too.
Right. So on page 8, and I apologize, it's hard to follow these lines. So we have golf operations 550, and then we have budgeted deficiency negative 1 million, and then projected fund balance negative 851,000. Am I not looking at that correctly, or am I off base here?
I'd have to double check that one because golf was not having any problems with balance. We have to check that.
Okay, all right. So that was one question. And the other question I have, there seems to be a lot of capital projects, and a lot of these are funded through capital or gaming tax. And so my question is, are we having more capital projects than we've had in the past? For example, the amount that we're spending on resurfacing. How does that compare in 2026 to 2025 and 2024? You don't have to answer it right now,
Are you specific to the?
Resurfacing, the capital.
The
in
capital portion?
The capital improvements plan.
Yeah, I believe from the capital side, and again, we'll be talking more about that in a few weeks, but I believe we might have gone up a moderate amount just so that we can stay at about the same number of miles of road. So I want to say maybe it went up by a couple $100,000, something like that.
Yeah, I would like to see those
Sure.
numbers.
Yep. Yeah, we'll definitely have all that for you.
And so where I'm heading with this is there's some pretty big projects in the capital funds, in capital projects. And so we have the 2025 bond series. And so is there a way to get sharpen the pencil and figure out where we're going to end up with, and if we have any surplus? And if we do have any surplus, is there ability to add any capital projects to the 2025 bond series? Maybe this is a Brian question as well. And you don't have to answer it right now, but that's something that might help us in trying to, plug holes.
We can come back and give something to the committee. Stacy had done an analysis of what was left in the bond fund, and for the last I recall, it was all spoken for, but we'll confirm.
Okay, all right. The other thing is the sale of properties, and how are we making any headway there? And maybe this is a Brian question, but the reason I bring it up now is because in central services, there's a lot of dollars for the maintenance of these buildings and properties that we own, buildings and grounds,
Yep.
mowing and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and it adds up. So just
Yeah, we
wanted
have
to
it's basically multi-departments that get together monthly and go over the list of every property that we have. And, for instance, engineering will be there to make sure that we're not looking to divest a property that has a potential use for an easement or a water main installation or something that we need to keep. And property standards is part of those meetings. So they're the ones who are out there actively mowing them and taking care of these properties. And the mayor's office is there, so we all get together, we look at all of these properties, and once they go through a vetting process, we do our best to unload the ones that have no use to the city. And I believe just recently, we sold one on New York Street. Again, we don't get a lot of money for a lot of these parcels, but getting them off the books is definitely, it's a high item for us in terms of, we don't want to keep them if we have zero use for them.
Right. So a big one is the central garage. And we're still using central garage, but I see that we're looking to transition out of it. And so with central garage, there's a salt dome. And so there's a decision package there for $7 million for that salt dome. And if we're going to still be in that building and it's not going to be demolished in the near future, can we hang on to that salt dome?
Oh, yeah.
Defer the salt dome, construction of the new one, use that $2 million to plug the $2.3 million deficit in the general fund by moving projects and capital improvements to MFT.
Yeah.
And then plug the hole that way with just one project.
Yeah, our goal is definitely to keep that salt dome as long as we can, even when so the demolition of central garage, we have to do a lot of environmental work first. So we're moving forward with all those environmental studies. We've got tanks that need to be removed. So a lot of those things will start first, and we definitely are not going to get rid of the salt dome until there's another use identified for that location. So even the demolition, we might even push that into future years if we need to, just to help with the budget, because it's not going to be a cheap building to take down.
Right.
And we've been looking at that, but we definitely are going to hang on to that salt dome as long as we can, because we will have to construct another one. If you figure somebody who's out doing snow removal on the west side.
Right, but there's a capital project for a new salt dome.
Yeah, I thought we pushed that to 27.
And it's still in there, so.
Yeah, I thought we pushed that to 27.
'Cause
We're definitely not building a new one.
If we can do that,
26.
then we can plug the hole in general fund just with that.
Yeah.
Move.
We'll definitely look into that and bring that back when we come talk about the CIP.
Okay, another question I have is with overtime. So just in general, we have a lot of different situations in these different budgets for responding to snow and emergencies. But then in engineering, there's a lot of overtime, and what is that based on? Considering that we're adding more staff and we're trying to reduce consultants, how does that
Sure.
overtime, how does that overtime?
Yeah,
not-
definitely
not
can
change?
answer that one for you. So there's a lot of contractors that start work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and if they're not done, if they're in the middle of paving, they're gonna work until 5. And, you know, when we've got somebody out in the field, if it's a job that needs continual supervision, they're kind of at the mercy of the contractor. If the contractor's gonna work 10 or 11 hours that day, our guys are working 10, 11 hours plus. They're starting off at the office, doing their quantities, coming back at the end of the day. So if the contractor's out there and we need to be staffing it, we don't really have a bench of people that can come in and start a new fresh 8 hours of work like, you know, Streets does or someone like that, where, okay, you're gonna plow for a certain amount of time, then you've got second shift, you've got third shift. So engineering's structured a little different. There's usually one project manager, one engineering tech that's assigned to a project, and you're kind of, again, at the mercy of that contractor. And as soon as they hit 8 hours, if they're gonna still be out there, we've gotta be out there too. So that's where the bulk of the engineering stuff comes from. Some contractors get behind on a job and they wanna work a Saturday. Then we've gotta be out there too. So there's a lot of that happens. Most specifically, I would say the bulk of it is probably related to the overlay. Those days can be really long. And a lot of times it's different crews and we're just trying to coordinate all that work, and we'll have 3 people, you know, somebody watching curb on one street, somebody watching milling on another, somebody watching resurfacing on the other. And if all those crews decide that they're gonna work 10 hours that day, well, we just got a pretty big ding in our overtime budget. So it's more specific to each job. What the new staff, what the hires there would be to hope that we can put someone from our staff on a job and not hire a consulting engineer that we're gonna pay more for at the end of the day. So that's what the new positions would be more structured for, is to reduce how much we're paying. So, you know, we come forward with an MFT contract, we come forward with a resurfacing contract. You see the number of times we come forward with any sort of design, all those different contracts. The goal would be to help the capital fund by not having to fund as much construction engineering.
And do you have on-call pay?
In engineering, no. There's no on-call staff in engineering.
In public works?
Yeah, we do. Yep, water and sewer, electrical. There's always an on-call person for all those utilities.
But these are all hourly employees?
Yes. Yep.
So
the on-call.
there's no management that's on call?
There will be an on-call supervisor, but once the second shift is over and we're down to just a call service, then yeah, it's just a call man. So like for water and sewer specifically, that would be when second shift ends at 11 o'clock, then there's a call person. So if a call comes in through the answering service and we need to send someone out, that person will get the balls in motion to get a crew, get the supervisor that's, you know, taking that call shift and getting that moving. For electrical, there's always somebody that's gonna take call. They don't run a second shift, they only run one shift. So usually by 3, 4 o'clock, everyone's gone. So if there's a street pole that gets knocked down, that call is gonna come through to us either from APD or through the call service from 311, and then they'll mobilize and they come out and they get a minimum 2-hour call. So they come in, they get their vehicle, they go out, they move the knockdown light, anything along those lines that would require. But yeah, that's just through on-call, and they all get paid. They're structured a little differently, but they all get compensation for being that person that's on call. And then they get additional compensation when they get a call out.
What is the impact from the data centers on water production, and is there a way to mitigate the impact of that and maybe have a differentiated rate for those data centers on the use of our water?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely, the next time we talk about water rates, we can talk about different rates for different types of commercial users. Right now, we've got a few data centers that do use a lot of water, but at the end of the day, that's really just helping bring the cost down for the residents anyway. So when they're using water, we can generate a lot more water than what we're putting out into the system right now. We've got plenty of capacity. I know as more of these data centers come to the city, I know there's a moratorium right now, but eventually, as they start coming in, there's going to be different technology for how much water they're using and how they're recycling it. But yeah, right now, there's no concern about it, and, you know, we've got to staff the plant with the same number of people every day. So whether we put out 18 million gallons a day or we put out 22 million gallons a day, we've got the capacity there. So as far as I'm concerned, as much as they want to use, we'll keep selling it to them.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to take a break on the questions now and pass the mic.
I could maybe follow up, though, Alderman, on a couple of things. You talked about the MFT fund. We do try to shift as much as reasonably possible into the MFT fund projects that qualify, but the MFT fund doesn't have the available capacity that it used to have, and particularly when you look out into the future, the various capital projects that we've got. So we do have to be a bit careful about how much we put through there in 1 year. And then the other notion about the general fund, we expect, I don't know if the CFO mentioned this previously, but we do expect some positive results this year in our budget because of constraining costs, not hiring positions, et cetera. We were intending to use some of that to offset what we projected at the outset was a $2.5 million deficit this year. So we're not concerned about the general fund 2.5 at this point. The other thing I'll mention is Alderman Larson, I think the vehicle you're looking for, you'll find is on page 1136. It's in two places. If you look under trucks, there's a $45,000, and you look under vehicle setup, up above it, there's a $5,000, adding up to the $50 I think you're looking for.
Well, I obviously have given a little bit more leeway. We only have Mr. Bauer here and his team here today, so we have 2 hours slated for. So it's not an issue if you had an extra question. You want to come back? We can come back to you. All right, all right. Alderman Franco.
So my question is about the airport. Philosophical. We're looking at spending $4.5 million for 2026. So I guess my question is, how much are we bringing in to pay for that? And do we even need that airport anymore? Is that something that we can sell or give to the county or give to the state of Illinois or a private user? Because if we're paying $4.5 million and we're generating, I don't know, a couple $100,000 in fuel costs or fuel fees and stuff, it doesn't make sense for us to do that because I don't see the benefit. So if you can chime in more of a big picture type of thing, why are we even doing this? I've always had that question, and I just think we need to go back to that because I think we keep losing money on it. It's not generating anything for us, and I don't know any collateral benefit it gives to the city either. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Sure. Yeah, from the funding standpoint, I believe that one is another fund that's relatively solvent. Looks like this year we're predicting 26 revenues of a little over 4 million and expenditures of about 4.5. But it's got an existing balance, so we are showing a positive end-year balance. So
It does have some subsidy though, and I think if we flip to the revenue side, we'll see that. Let's see. Yeah, it has a subsidy of 2026 and 2025 of 200,000. So that's a redirection of home rule sales tax to that fund.
But you understand, I mean, so you said we got 4 million coming in revenue? Is that from the sale of gasoline out there, and what else would that be?
Leases?
Yeah.
Leases, okay.
Yeah, leases.
Go ahead.
You want me to go to the podium?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Again, Steve Andrus, airport manager. I think where this gets a little bit confusing is, first of all, our CIP, our big expenditure projects, they're typically funded 95% by federal and state, and then we're 5% local. And I'm not sure I understand the accounting. I've never really understood it. But when a big project comes in, the city of Aurora puts on their books the entire amount for the project, even though our share is only 5%. So, and to what Brian said, We typically subsidize the airport, or the airport subsidized by the city, to the tune of about $200,000. And you may recall that there's a solar farm that's going to be constructed in the near future. I can't recall the exact amount of money. I thought it was around $100,000 a year. I could be wrong. But we are looking for different ways to help get rid of that subsidy. But I also think that some of the confusing aspects of the way the accounting is shown may add to the additional confusion. Brian, I don't know if you can speak to that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So essentially what the city records or budgets for is anything, a cost or revenue that flows through our accounts. The things that do not touch our accounts, that are completely paid for by the federal government, we don't touch. So in other words, that on the revenue side, what Steve's talking about, yes, there are a number of expenditures that come out related to federally supported projects. The other side of that coin is the grant money. So that's a lot of what's hitting the revenue side. I think it's pretty much, that tells the story.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned $4 million, or somebody did revenue.
Yeah.
That's probably where that's coming from. It's not from fuel sales, even though that offsets our expenditures in the operations aspect, but we still subsidize to the tune of about $200,000 at this point.
Okay. So that's not that bad. But so I guess going forward, and that's reasonable. I would almost like us to think about what's the benefit even going forward, or can we generate more? Can we make it a money maker? And I think we've always talked about that. It's just a matter of how to do it. And I know there's confusion going out there right now with different leases and stuff like that. And I know it's going to tighten up someday. But you know, if we're losing money, you know, we got to say at the end of the day, what are we getting out of that? You know, what is the long-term, you know, lie? You know, are we having people that are coming to casino and are going to fly in there and they're going to make revenue from them gambling? You know, what is the benefit? So I think maybe going forward we could take a look, because I don't know if you sold that airport to a private or let the county take over, or the Regional Transportation Authority, would that be a benefit to us? So I guess going forward, especially with times of struggling in the budget, that maybe there's a way to generate more revenue or sell it and get a lump sum. So if we could take a look at that.
Yeah, I would just add that, you know, this new administration, I think, is taking a harder look, probably more so than ever before, in terms of revenue out at the airport or by the airport. There's MFT money. It's not motor fuel tax, it's aviation fuel tax. There's some money that we're trying to get back to the tune of about $700,000 currently. But I think ultimately, if we can change the I'll call it the tax on the sales tax of fuel, if you want to call it that. That hasn't changed since 1980 something. But all the leases for the fixed-based operators they locked in. You can't increase it more than 1 cent, or maybe it was 10%, or I'm sorry, 1%. So it's never been done.
Right.
So had we been doing that, we're at a nickel a gallon right now, which is what it was in 1980 something. And if we would have charged that nickel a gallon for the last or a penny every year for the past 40 years, we'd be pretty competitive.
Sure.
And I attend the Illinois Airports Conference every year. For a public airport, as the city of Aurora, as a sponsor in this case, we do actually pretty well. I mean, $200,000 underwriting or subsidy really isn't all that bad. Sure. But the numbers, make you think when you see that $4 million. Right. So.
In that gas jet or airplane fuel tax is on our radar to deal with that.
Okay. All right, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay. If I could just piggyback on it, and I'm going to give it to Alderman Bug here, since you're up here too.
Sure.
Whatever happened to that big idea about going after federal approvals and getting our runways for bigger jets and planes coming in?
I'm not sure I understand.
Are we changing that? We're going to have we can anticipate a new outlook for the airport.
I don't think comprehend what you're.
Can I chime in on that? Our runway, right, if you talk about the
Yeah.
length of the runway for bigger
Yeah,
airplanes,
that's-
6,500 feet, it's the same as Midway, so 737s can land there, so I don't know
Correct.
how much bigger we'd want.
But you have to, but the thing is, where is the mine concept moving forward? And, that's what I'm asking.
Well, I can tell you right now, from a runway standpoint, we have a north-south runway, an east-west runway, and a diagonal runway. The north-south runway is being decommissioned, so part of our operational budget, very small part of it, we increased our engineering fees because we're dealing with the feds right now to decommission that runway. But there is no, I don't think there's any plan for any
Okay.
runway
All right.
reconfigurations or extensions. If that's what you're asking.
Not
I
say,
don't
but
think
to
so.
to have them land there, get a, don't you ever approval? I thought I recall there was some public commentary about expanding the type of planes coming in terms of size.
There would have to be some kind of public comment and approval, which would go through, the feds, but the only thing we're considering right now is the decommissioning of that north-south runway, which technically has to go through that same process. But, yeah, I don't think there's any discussion about,
Sure, okay.
you know,
All right.
there's just like there is a comprehensive plan for the city, streets and so forth, there's also an airport layout plan, which is similar in nature, shows ultimate build out. There's no change in the runways, but there is sections of the airport property that are shown for new development. But I know that I'm right around your issue, but I don't think I'm nailing it.
No, it's all right. I don't want to take more time here from the committee
I mean,
on
if
this
you,
subject, but
we can talk offline
Yeah,
if you have more
absolutely.
information, and I can figure out what you're trying to drive at.
I'm going to turn it over to Alderman Bug, and then I'll come back with my own questions, if you don't mind.
Thank you. I'm just going to follow up to what Alderman Franco said, and it's a great point. Number of years ago, under the last administration, we had a number of meetings about the airport, Mr. Andrus, and we talked about trying to get better utilization. And we talked about the other airports in the area, same size, similar size, who do fly-ins, who do all kinds of events. So we started talking about that. There's an airport board, of course. We started talking about that, planning some things, and then COVID hit. All those plans went on the back shelf, and we dealt with COVID. So kind of what happened, but we do have the #1 EAA program in the country. So that's definitely a feather in our cap that we need to continue to push and let people know about. And yeah, it's a great starting point. We do a lot of free flights for the kids, more than any place else in the country. So we gotta find ways to make that happen, better utilization. I just had a question, page 651, lighting, electricity, street lighting, 38-09. Our actual for 2023 was 142,000. Actual for 2024 about 115,000. We're taking it down to 75,000. And so I know there aren't going to be less streetlights hit in the city. There's probably going to be more. So please talk to me about that and where we're headed with that number.
Yeah, so that one was one that we did do some decrements from. We just recently came forward with a relatively large purchase that we expect to get sometime next year. So we know that that'll carry us a certain amount, plus with the stock that we currently have. we think we can get by. And a lot of them too, we work with, we'll be going out to bid again, but we do have a third party. And that vendor, a lot of times, will front fund the purchase of a pole. And a lot of times we get that money back through the risk funds. You know, if we can find it, if it's not a hit and run, if it's someone where it's documented, we can go after insurance companies. A lot of times we get that back. So sometimes some of the knockdowns don't really even run through our system. They'll grab a pole, but that person, they'll put that on the invoice that they send to the insurance company, and then they'll restock us if they take one from our yard. So we think we'll be okay. It's just maybe there will be less preemptive replacements. We have, and we do have there's actually a capital line item too that we can talk about in a couple weeks. So we can pull from that as well. So that when we do a lot of preemptive work, if need be, we can use that same budget item if we need to purchase poles from that 340 account, the Cap A account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you, yeah. Of course, yeah, we just had the lighting request come through, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or a week ago, so.
Yep, I think it went.
If that's gonna be our stockpile, and we're hoping to stretch that through the year, fantastic. If it, but definitely, no one wants, you know, the pole down, missing, laying there, and we get the calls, when is that gonna be replaced? Now, we know this year, when it's gonna be replaced, we've been waiting for parts for 6 months, and that's what we've kept telling people, and then the parts came in, thank God, and the pole started going up, so, or being repaired, so, yeah, if we have a plan, then, you know, we're good with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the one we came through, I think it just went to Common Council, and I believe it was for like $102,000 or
Right.
something to that, somewhere in that range. So that'll last us quite a while once those arrive.
Okay, excellent. My next question is, I'm jumping around here, 827, the next two are golf. And I won't even flip over 100 pages to that, but 827, we're placing the screens on the golf simulators. Those golf screens are only lasting 3 years. That's the standard in the industry?
Yeah, Jeff could probably speak to that, but I'm sure they take some abuse.
I'm sure they do, but I would hope they would last longer than 3 years, but.
Podium, a chair.
I mean, the grand opening is still in my mind so fresh from 23 that we're already buying new ones.
Yeah, the screens, if you can get a couple years out of the screen, that's wonderful. There's a lot of different types of screens that you can buy that will help produce a better image on the screen that you pay a higher premium for. You're not going to get any longevity out of them. You're just going to get a better image. The screens are only about $700 a piece. We only got 2 of them, so they're going to be about $1,400 plus shipping, and then we're going to replace the rest with 2 new projectors to create a better image and have bulbs last hopefully a little longer. The illumination is the biggest hindrance on a projector, is to heat up and then how long it lasts. It's like a light bulb in your house. But the screens, that's just normal wear and tear. When they're not on right now, you can see there's sag in them. You can see marks from golf balls who use Sharpies on their golf balls that we tell them not to, and their clubs are not clean. You see that, but that image is white right now, but as soon as you turn it on, you'll see the image, but you can start to see those marks come through the screen now a little bit. And it's just normal wear and tear, regular maintenance, to be honest with you.
Okay. So so it's just something we can expect every 2 to 3 years. Okay, okay. My last question on that, 829, a couple pages over. I remember a couple years ago, we bought the Cadillac of mowers, like not even the Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz of mowers. We bought the big thing. So, you know, this is a little bit rhetorical, but so the mowers we have now cannot take care of our mowing needs, and we need to buy this additional mower.
Correct. We have various types of mowers that handle different types of turf areas, approaches, greens, rough, fairways, tee markers. So I'm just looking at their, let's see, just trying to read, and that's a Banks mower. So it helps us maintain the banks around the tee boxes and greens. So just normal wear and tear. It's expired. That's 2003.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
really old.
But
I
it's just something, it's a normal replacement.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I thought maybe, we could use one of our big mowers and get that over there but.
I wish that was the case, but unfortunately, it's more of a specialty piece.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all I got for now.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start competing with Alderman Barrero here with my comments too. But you don't have to go very far because I'm going to have questions. Surprise, I'm going to have questions for the
Okay,
golf
I'm gonna go get my
course,
folder
too.
real quick.
Sure. I just like to go back real quick, and I want to make a statement here personally. When I first came in 13 years ago, the management of the airport was always grumblings coming out. A little bit of a challenge finding someone to come and steady the ship on a continuous basis. And ever since we brought Mr. Andrus on board, we brought him back from retirement. They say no news is good news. So kudos to you, Mr. Andrus, what you've done so far to this point with it. And you really brought it a long way. I mean, if you put it together, I'm almost confident you put a comparison of what the situation was the first day you took over and compared to where it is today. I'm sure the community will be really astonished, as well as the aldermen too. So a personal thank you to you. Before I get into my mowers, you talk about electric by chance? Do you guys ever think about electric mowers?
We haven't expanded onto that yet. They are new to the game as far as mowers for golf courses and that. You're starting to see them a little bit on TV. The last PGA Tour tournament just had one on display that was large in that. But it's new technology coming to the golf courses. We've entertained looking at some for the driving range that actually picks up the golf balls, but then also mows at the same time. But the expense outweighs the cost of an employee on that. But it's new technology. It was introduced. My superintendent Austin Heller. That was a real big topic at his golf industry show that he went back to in February 25, and that's something I think we can start looking at for the future. But I don't know if we're right in the position right now, especially with the way we're set up structurally with our infrastructure, with the maintenance shed, so on and so forth. But it's something we can continue to look forward to.
Long-term radar, that's great.
Yes, it's on our radar, yes.
I would like to share with Alderman Bug that both my kids and I are very guilty for bringing deterioration to those screens at the park, and utilizing them, but I guarantee you my kids' golf balls don't have any marks, any Sharpie marks on them, though. That said, a little bit of housekeeping too. Page 646, towards the bottom, 61-01 Office Direct. It's the only first time I've seen it in the budget book. The title, Buying Things for First Floor Administration Area. Is there maybe a better description or better descriptive for that?
Oh, yeah, that was, I think that one might even be 646, did you say?
Page 646.
Is that engineering? 44, is that a 4040? Oh.
Towards the bottom.
Yeah, that's probably just a carryover, actually, because I don't think we actually, the language might just be a carryover from last year's budget.
Okay, all right.
So we can clean that up. Yeah, that was with the move to the new building for the first floor admin area and in Public Works.
Okay, all right.
So the text is probably,
All right.
it does need to be updated.
All right. Downtown, on page 655, mission statement, just a general thought. Can we get that grass worked out across from City Hall here? I'm not very good at grass, and I'm having a little bit more success with my new lawn.
Yeah.
And then there's.
So as you know, there was
Well,
a building
it's okay.
there.
Just make. I'm just making
Yeah,
a
we've
point
tried.
to-
So we've tried. I think 3 times now. We've reseeded it. The problem is all of the material from the building that was knocked down. Even when we top dress it with 3 inches of new dirt, it's all still settling down into the debris from the building that was, I
Okay.
think, taken down in 2015. So I mean, we'll get it again. We'll keep going at it. I think
All
even the
right.
owner of the property has been out there and they tried it, and yeah, we've been
Okay.
trying, and it just
All
keeps
right.
it keeps dying on us. And I think with the fact that there's so much material there and we can only go so high, and as it's just migrating down throughout time with the
Okay.
rain and
All right, that's
we
practically
keep
our
trying.
front
I mean,
doorstep,
it's, yeah,
so-
it's an eyesore, but, you know, hopefully someday that gets redeveloped anyway. But
Okay.
we'll put that on the radar to get on it again.
Okay.
We've tried slit seeding it, we've top dressed it, we've
Okay.
seed and blanket, we're just having a heck of a time with it.
Next questions regards to or thoughts, page 657, one of your decision packages. We're putting money in for something that used to come from SSA funds from downtown at this point, and why so?
Because I believe with the restructuring of the SSA, I believe this is that money is coming out of the SSA
Okay.
into the city's funds.
Okay.
To take care
All
of
right.
that.
All right. I'm going to leapfrog over to page 748. Down at the bottom, you have 25 major accomplishments, redesigned City Hall entrance. Then I look at short-term goals in 2026, and I see it right up there again, redesigned City Hall entrance.
Yeah, we're going through all the different goals and narratives. A lot of these we prepare much earlier on in the year. So every single one of the narrative sections in every division, we're going to be going through all of those and cleaning them up. We noticed that one. Brian went through a bunch of them today with a number of markups too. So we're going to clean all those up. But
right.
yeah, I know that one for sure was on
Okay.
there for central services.
All right. Then page 749, performance measures. Can you explain to me a little bit, how do we go from 3.0 to 3.9? Were there any major projects or major challenges we had to fix that increased that over this year?
Derek might be able to chime in on that
Because
one.
because it seems like we're going back to, we're budgeting 2.5 for next
Derek
year.
Winston again, Director of Public Facilities. Yeah, that was a large influx in volume of tasks and work orders.
Okay. Unseasonably larger, you're trying to say?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we are down a couple staff members for a while.
Okay, okay. Next page is 750. I see you're looking to ask for additional funding for janitorial account for the increase of facilities. Are you looking going out for another proposal for another vendor, or are you going to extend the contract services for the existing vendor we have?
We'll be extending.
Okay, you're not interested in going out again? We have one or two right now, janitorial vendors.
3.
3. Oh, fantastic. Okay, and who are you gonna just cherry pick who you're gonna pick, or are you gonna let them all compete for it?
No, that's already been predetermined.
Oh, predetermined.
Yes, so they're already assigned to
Okay.
their locations based on their bid prices.
Okay, all right. 756, page 756 to move forward. Can somebody explain this page to me a little bit, exactly how I'm supposed to be looking at that with all these items in there?
Yeah, I mean, so most of them are listed out as decision packages. I believe that's the 3805
Okay.
account. So a lot of times, rather than just having the 3805 account with a dollar amount that isn't very descriptive on what's being done,
Okay.
We like to have those notes in the budget just so that everyone can see that, oh, this decision package for
So
this roof is in here, this tuck pointing project is in here. But I think this one needs to be cleaned up a little bit as well.
I don't know if it's a question for you, but maybe when we talk about capital and whatnot in a subsequent meeting, understanding a little bit about SciTech, where we're going with that, and the investment into it, because we're still putting money into it like before when we had SciTech, and we're still calling it the SciTech building, even though SciTech's no longer there. They were evicted overnight, unfortunately, to the great displeasure of my daughter, to the point where every so often she reminds me she's going to be a voter next year. I don't know what she's trying to tell me, but she's not happy about it. Both my kids are unhappy about that. I'd love to know where we're going, and the community as well.
Yeah, I know.
Parks and-
Yeah, I know economic development, that's one of the ones that they've been trying to get someone to move into. I know it's gonna take a decent amount of money to
Right.
get it up to snuff for whoever's gonna
Sure,
move in.
sure.
So at some point, we hope that there'll be a development.
But you're
agreement
still
that moves
you're still putting money into these buildings, right?
Yep.
And that's very important. And
Yeah.
the question is, I think, more for
Yep.
for third floor staff. The other thing, I guess, is just a little correction on 795, last major accomplishment, replace sunken garden with an E, garden. If, I don't know if it really matters ultimately. I'm going to try to go through these. I can ask some of these minute questions also down the road or offline. Decision package on page 796, existing.
On 95, it might have been a small point, but just make sure we got it. What was that? You were-
Sunken garden is Gardan here, spelled out.
Yep. All right, got it.
En, garden with an En.
Okay, got it.
The page 796, decision package for concrete pad. So we have a storage box.
Yeah, so this is for, I'm sure you went through the Festival of Lights last year, probably a number of times. The area where the donations are collected, we have that little shed that was built that we brought in. I think might even be trailer mounted, but it's to park that there instead of in the grass so that there's actually a hard surface for it to sit on.
A little bit out of, to sit on? So you're
Yeah,
gonna create
so
a
when we
concrete.
bring when we bring the shed back out for the staff, well, any of the volunteers that are there, that's what this pad is for that to sit there. And actually, I believe it's constructed. Yeah, so we actually won't be doing, it's already done. We were
it's
able to
already
get it in
done.
this year with some balance in some other funds.
Okay, all right. Concrete gets cold in the winter a lot more. It's a lot colder than
We've got
than the
heaters in
earth.
there too.
Okay, all right. Page 798, professional fees, 32-80 under consultant fees. We're going from 121,700 down to 15,000. Can you give us a little bit more insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I went over some of the highlights for the decrements, pointed out that a lot of the building and grounds funds are coming down. We're going to be delaying specific projects that don't need to occur in 2026. And accordingly, then we won't have to pay for architect fees, engineer fees, the design fees that would be accompanying those projects. So it's all stuff that'll have to be done eventually, but we'll phase it out for more like 27 or 28. So a lot of the stuff that we'll be able to do, we should be able to do with not as many projects. We won't need as much design fee.
Alderman, I think you're looking at a subtotal line, and you'd look up above to see what's really changed. It looks like the main part of the changes in engineering and is in contracted services. There's a change there from 89.4 down to $5,000. I think it's a lot of the overall change in that
Yeah.
category.
Well, I'm just trying to go back and think about what I've already read. Last year, I asked for to see the master plan that was put together. No date given, refusal to be given by the previous chief administrator. Surprise, surprise, inauguration day, the day after I was presented with one. So immediately. So I'm trying to figure out where we're going to be going with that master plan, if at all, toward finalizing it, if we are going to finalize it, how we're going to incorporate it, if we're going to incorporate it. So trying to understand here some of the numbers too and how they may relate to that, if at all. That's where I'm coming from, just so you know a little bit.
Yeah, we did have that. That was in the budget for to start implementation in this year and into next year, but obviously with the way things are panning out with the budget, those are just going to be pushed off a little bit, but it is the intention to, when the funds are available and hopefully, things turn a corner for us, that we would put those back on the books to start implementation.
So the zoo, page 18, down at the bottom, Phillips Park Zoo, second to last line item. There is a reduction change of $315,000. Will it affect the operations or maintenance of the zoo? That amount? And if so, what way? In terms of providing at least the existing level of service.
That's a total,
Yeah, so
and we're going to have to look at some of the detail to isolate.
Some of the supplies have gone down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is the total.
Your
there
name
will-
again, please?
Sorry, Anna Borosnitz, zoo manager. So that is the total for the zoo that was decremented. Some of that is also because of decision packages that have either been completed or are potentially being rolled over. The zoo is staffed with incredibly creative people, so we will definitely, just like everywhere throughout the city, tighten our bootstraps and, use what we have. There may be some things that we have to delay updating. There were a lot of projects that we, of course, you're accustomed to, but we'll delay those as needed. And then, as Mr. Bauer said, when the funding becomes available, we are hoping to move forward with those things and update them.
Yeah, all right, appreciate that. Again, it just goes back to the master plan too, my thoughts and how we move forward long-term. That's where I'm coming from. All right, I appreciate that. Phillips Park Golf Course, here we go. I just want to make a note that I did attend this turf talk session noted here. I really appreciated that being put on. I think the participants that showed up, as I should say, the attendees enjoyed it as well. It was very informative. My question to our golf expert, if you don't mind coming up, you made a statement that in regards to your visit to a conference and AI, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said AI is here for golf. Can you explain what can we anticipate, if anything, in regards to AI and how it affects our golf operations moving into the future, if at all, in the near future?
Please forgive me when I made that comment. Did I make that at the?
Oh, it got me excited when I heard. I couldn't forget it. But you said you went to some golf conference.
Yeah, I mean, my Austin Heller, our superintendent, went to the Turf Expo Golf Industry Show back in February, and I was at. I took a pass on the PGA Show, went the previous year. But AI, I've got to apologize. I just don't know how it's hitting golf yet. In that, I'm actually hoping to attend the PGA Show this off season again, and I'm hoping that's one of the topics to see where that's coming into play. But I just can't comment on that right now, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. So maybe you could say there's little transponders in the golf balls now, so we can find them easier.
That would hurt sales, though.
Yeah, right. Okay. But I really appreciated that. I just want to make a comment that you did that. I think there's benefit if you continue doing that over there at the golf course by the snack center.
You talking about the turf talk classes?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're already going to be planning some of those this off season, and try and get some relevant topics to the golfers, but also some other ideas about something we're going to be planning in this winter for sure.
I personally learned a lot about what the care is, what actually gets done. There's more to just mowing the lawn and trimming the edges. So it was very informative. So I appreciate that. A question for you: do you keep track of how many golf events we have there? Can you close it off? Or
yes. I would say large events of 50 plus were probably at least 12, probably 15 to 20. We have a lot of smaller events. Large shotgun events that are 100 plus were probably 6 or 7. The smaller events under 100, probably closer to 10 to 15. And this doesn't count any of the groups that just come in that just make regular tee times, the senior groups that pass through on a Monday through Friday, any of the senior league travel groups or just regular travel groups that have got leagues that start to branch out outside their normal play that come see us, but easily 50 to 60 events, not counting from small to large.
So is that pretty much a soft spot where we want to be, or just more the merrier with those?
Well, we try and prevent the shotguns. We want to try and limit shotgun events because we have to shut the golf course down a little bit earlier, and that can hit revenue just a little bit. But it's, some of the large events, they just can't do 4 hours of tee times.
So how many shotgun events would you say you do?
Probably 6.
6, and that's pretty much the comfort zone?
Yes, I would say that. And then we also do some modified too, to where we can open up the golf course earlier, keep it open later with modified shotguns as well, where we don't have to shut the entire golf course down.
Okay.
But we manage the tee sheet accordingly.
Okay, because my mind's going to another question that's coming here.
Sure.
In some of your decision packages. Food and beverage, page 828. a new staff member. Is this a part-time or seasonal or both? Or is it full-time?
Seasonal worker.
Seasonal worker.
Yeah, just another worker that can allow us to be in excess of 1,000 hours. Right now, we allocate 2 employees in the concessions that allocate 1,000 hours or more to help us provide more coverage for serving, preparing the food, and provide better coverage ultimately.
Okay.
And also take the weight off the food and beverage manager as well, if that person needs to fill in a spot.
Okay, because holistically, I also see that you're also looking to increase a food purchase budget, correct?
Yes.
So, in general, you're looking to expand, obviously.
Correct.
With that expansion, my thought would be, and there's probably not an answer to it today, or unless you have, if something's been done with third floor about catering other events here at the city, and maybe even River Edge Park, and create these partnerships, because there's a full kitchen in there. And if you bring in a cook, I don't know if that's enough money to bring somebody who can spice it up and do things that could cater. That's where I'm going at with this. If that's a viable idea, if that person could do that.
Yes, it's something we definitely are touching on, trying to see what can we do to team up with the city when we're all under the same umbrella, essentially. You know, how can we assist other departments with their F&B needs for holding events, or just simply providing the catering for them. We've got that nice patio that's going to be all redeveloped on the backside for next season. It's going to look really, really phenomenal. But how can we be more involved with the city? How can we be more involved ultimately? That's top on my list.
I think there's potential there, and recouping some of your costs too. I'm sure nothing's free in life. Another department would have to make a purchase, or River Edge Park could maybe make a purchase. But anyway, next question, probably my last question for the day. Page 834, Golf Master Plan, 25K. Can you please elaborate on that? And how does that work, if at all, with the master plan that's already on the books, if any, if at all, for Phillips Park?
That money was left in there as a placeholder. I'm just gonna be frank with you. We're not sure what the direction of the master plan is at this time, but a placeholder there in case we need to do some contract services with Greg Martin, who was the golf course architect. We needed the redo in 2001, but that 25,000 is a placeholder for right now until we determine which direction the master plan goes.
Okay, all right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All that insight as well. It's a place that's near and dear to me. Phillips Park in general, also. But, again, as you know, my wife's not too happy about the increases for the golf rates, but I told her it's going to be okay. So you know, I'm on your side.
Thank you.
But with that said, Alderman Dan Barrero, you said you have a few more questions, I believe.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to comment on page 756 on the budget detail there. Public Works gets an A+. A lot of departments don't put a lot of detail in line items that have a lot of, that are big line items. So it's really appreciated to know what exactly is being spent. So my first question is regarding street pavement striping. And so it seems like there's a modest amount in the budget, and looks like we're way behind in spending the money that's allocated this year. And one of the biggest complaints I get from residents is the lack of new pavement striping. You can barely see the pavement striping to the point where, as an example, on Sullivan Road at Route 25, people don't see the pavement striping, so they don't know where to pull up to, so the light never turns green because they're not moved up far enough. Is there a plan to address that? Because that seems to be a big need citywide.
Yeah, most of, so we do some internally, but we also have for larger roadways, all the arterials, Those are on a cycle that we run through, and those are part of, we bring that through, we call it Contract 2. That's the one that we bring in usually later in the year. It's not part of the resurfacing, but it's the one we take care of broken tripper, sidewalks, things like that. We put that into that contract. Sometimes it's part of the overlay, sometimes we've got it in both, but most of the major roads, that's not something that we're really geared up to do. You see the trucks that are out there doing that, those are pretty expensive pieces of equipment that really aren't anything that we'll have a need for, so it's easier for us. Sometimes we piggyback and we take bid numbers that we go in with other communities. So we definitely try and stay on top of it, and we can definitely take a note and make sure that we look at specifically that location. And always, if there's always reach out to me and let me know if you get those comments from constituents or you notice something. As long as it gets to us, we can always add them to the list.
I'm a new and frequent user of the new 311 app.
Great.
So I submitted it through there. I don't know where it goes from there, but
it'll find its way to us.
It's that is a big need.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, because that helps us track, and then we can close it out and put notes in and all those.
In page 698, under electricity, in 6204, that's a lot of money that we're spending on electricity and water production. So
Mr. Benavides just told me that they just got that location maybe 2 weeks ago. So
great. So the electricity spending of the water production plant, water treatment plant's a lot, and people are sensitive to water rates. Is there any thought to try to use solar or wind to try to reduce the cost of that electricity?
yeah, so we have looked at putting solar on that building. It's from an operational logistics standpoint, it's not one of the easiest buildings to put because we actually need to access that roof. Bob can probably tell you more about it, but we actually have to go up there and there's things we need to do up there. So I don't know that we would be able to put enough there that we would get the bang for the buck for the, to get it there. But it is one that we've looked at with the consultant a number of times. It's just never really panned out for that building specifically.
Okay.
But not to say that we can't continue to look at it, but I think that would be one where we would want to do the roof first. So there would be more costs associated with it because the last thing we want to do is put in all that effort and time on installing the solar and then realizing that we need to do the roof 10 years later or something like that.
Right.
So,
Right.
But we have looked at it.
On page 723, 6550, water meters and parts. So I have some residents that have been getting letters about getting new meters, and one of them was told that she needed to hire a licensed plumber for a fitting. Is there any way that our people could do that while they're replacing the meters?
Depending where it's at in the system, not knowing exactly what the issue was, it's hard to say. If it's the fittings on either side of the meter that are attaching to the internal plumbing and to the line coming in, we would usually take care of something like that. This one might have been further in on the system where it was just beyond the scope of what our people are capable of doing. But again, if we need to reach out and talk to somebody, we can. But usually our guys can take care of the meter swap outs without calling a plumber in.
Yeah, it just seems that if there are meters, it shouldn't be the cost to the resident.
Yeah, and it's not. That's why this specific case, maybe it was a fitting further in, because we're not going to go too much past the meter to swap the meter out. So it might have been something.
They already
like
have
that.
a meter.
Right. I'm saying maybe there was I don't know what specifically the issue was. It could be that
I'll follow up on it.
Yeah, that'd
but
be
in
great.
general, we're not charging.
No, generally, no. We don't charge people for a meter swap out.
Alderman, if you could give us an address offline.
I'll follow up with it.
Well,
So I have a couple on the capital. So going down to 986. So here's another, this is a project for the Tivoli deck. This is part of the MVPS fund, but this project's being paid out of Capital Improvements Fund. So here's another example of something that, can we defer this to make room in the capital projects funds for general fund and other things?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've punted Tivoli long enough as is, so we want to get on top of doing those repairs. So this was one. We did take a close look at every capital project, both for
So you don't
25
have to give
and
an answer now,
26.
I'm just
Yeah.
bringing these up for.
No, that one we
so-
definitely want to get started on, just from a safety standpoint. We want to make sure that we're taking care of things. We had a study done that showed like $2 to $3 million of work. That study's getting a few years old, so that number's probably going up, so we want to get started on those improvements. So we'll prioritize them, and I think you'll see in there that we spread it out over a number of years.
Mhm. Page 1002. So this one is the salt storage facility, $2 million, and the source of funding is MFT. So this is an example where if we take it out of MFT, then we make room for other projects that are in capital that can go in MFT. So
We
just
pretty much, yeah, we try and put as much into MFT as we
Right, right,
can.
but I'm saying if we
Yeah.
can defer this,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
then we can make
that was
room.
on-
Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking,
And then,
for whatever reason, I'm not seeing page numbers on mine anymore. What CIP number was that? Was that a C? Like, oh, there it was.
yeah, yeah, C-150.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely, we don't believe that the existing dome is going to come down next year, so, and as you pointed out, that is MFT, so odds are that'll just roll over into the following year, possibly even to 28. Again, our goal would be, even when we do take down Central Garage, until there's actually a use planned or we're getting rid of the property, we're going to keep the salt dome up as long as possible so that we can keep deferring that $2 million expense.
Right, on page 1009, on Garfield Park improvements. Now, this is in my ward, so
Chair.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, we're doing capital improvement discussion, right? Capital overlay right now?
No, I'm
Because we are having a carryover, we're having that meeting, aren't we? A separate
meeting
meeting for this
so I can-
next
okay,
week?
So I have another opportunity to ask.
Yeah,
Oh,
all of us.
We'll have a
yes,
different
yes,
presentation
yes.
with all these projects and
Yes.
and all that
Okay,
in there as
then,
well.
in that case, I will.
Yeah, not to cut you off, the reason why, because those who did not request a hard copy book, only the electronic things got uploaded, so only the things for today got uploaded, so our CIP isn't uploaded yet for
So
the
you'll-
electronic.
So you'll be back for the.
Yeah, I believe
for those.
2 weeks, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And
I
we've
just
got,
had-
yeah,
I just had a
we're-
few more. I just had a few more.
Oh, no, yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll definitely, we'll hit on.
But I do have one
all of
general
those.
one that's not CIP, and that is the sidewalk replacement. The current threshold is 2 inches.
2 inches, correct. Now
Is there
that's,
any thought
so
to
2
that?
inches is, 2 inches is the limit that we try and take care of quickly. Once we're aware of something that's 2 inches or greater, we like to get out and take care of those within a month or two. Everything else, if it's an inch or a half inch, 3/4, those go on a list, and we do, somewhere to the tune of probably $750,000 a year of that type of work. So we will eventually get to those. The 2-inch level, though, is the one where we feel, this needs to be addressed now. So we try and prioritize those and get moving on
So you
those
do-
quicker.
You do address them if they are less than 2 inches, but
We
it
do.
just takes longer.
Oh, we do, yeah. Like when we do, a lot of times when we do an overlay on a street, the technicians will walk up and down both sides of the street. That you'll see, we almost always update the ADA compliance on the corners because that standard changes. Usually if we're resurfacing a street, it's probably a 20-year-old standard or a 25-year-old standard at the corners. So we almost always have to do the corners. And then we'll look for trip hazards. And in there, if it's a half inch or more, we'll usually take care of those during the overlay. Otherwise, if someone's just calling about a square or two at a tree and it's an inch and a half and it's not at the 2 inches, it goes on the list and does get replaced eventually. It's just those 2-inch ones, we prioritize those.
Is the mud jacking not permitted in the city?
We wouldn't do it. For us, it's a short-term solution usually because you mud jack and then eventually it does go back down. And with the quantities that we do, it's easier to just replace them. We have started, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, we started doing a contract where if we get enough like half-inch in the neighborhood, we'll contract out to do like the sidewalk shaving. We've done a lot of that. and it works out nice. So if it's a bigger neighborhood and there's a lot of those smaller ones, that's a good candidate for shaving. So we'll do that, but we usually don't do the mud jacking.
All right. We,
That's all my questions.
November 18th, Tuesday, 1 PM is the meeting for capital carryovers and late changes, just for the record and for the community at large too. So, Alderman Bug.
Yeah, general question that everyone wants to know. On our 2025 resurfacing, you can let us know what wards or areas are not going to be with our temperature dipping on Sunday. I guess this is the end. What areas are we not going to hit in 2025 going to get carried over to 2026?
Yeah, we can reach out and let you know. Right now, things are tracking pretty well. They're with the 2 contracts, we're doing okay, but yeah, there's a chance with the weather dropping that things can grind to a halt pretty quickly. So we'll let you all know if there's spots that aren't going to happen this year. And as you know, they usually are the ones that we prioritize first thing in the spring as soon as the plant's open. But we'll double check the list and let you know.
Thank you.
Alderman Larson.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have another couple questions. One of them on page 799, it's under Parks and Rec. It's 38-11 under software. I see there's a 2024 decision package. It's $7,000 for software, and then there's another line below that that says additional licenses for increased staff, but it looked like the staff was the same. Is that part of what's being decremented here? Because it does look like there's a decrement in that line item.
I'm sorry, I just got to that page. What was the line item?
3811.
Down at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very bottom.
Yeah, I don't know, Steve, if you could shed some light on what that is.
Steve Kaliza, Superintendent of Parks and Recs. So yes, we were using a software called Productive Parks, which it was a productive software, but however, with the amount of parks that we have, we're going to be going a different direction and not using that software anymore.
Okay. Yes, that's being decremented. Okay, thank you. And then I guess the only other question I have regarding the golf course, one of the decision packages is parking lot expansion. I was wondering how common is it for the lot to be full? Is that I imagine it'd probably be like weekends and holidays. Are there like a significant amount of days that we're losing out on revenue from that?
Yeah, Jeff can answer that one.
Jeff Schmidt, Superintendent of Golf Ops. So with the influx of golf in the last 2 years, we are on a regular basis seeing the parking lot at full capacity. We're instructing our staff to park up by the Hill Avenue entrance. It's become a safety issue now at this point. There are days where the golfers are parking along the curb coming into the main entrance of the golf course, up near the first tee, extending down from the middle lane out towards to the first tee box. And we have also seen golfers turn and leave. Essentially, I can't put a number on that. I wish I could. But from visually, as much as time as I'm there, it is going to be necessary, especially the way the golf industry is moving with the amount of play, and also with the number of parking spots we have. We also do try and direct golfers out back to Ramos's Drive, but I'm going to be frank with you, it's not very efficient in that because golfers just are not familiar. And again, I also, on busy days when we're going to be busy, I also instruct my staff to park out back on Ramos's Drive or up on Hill Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess that's a good problem to have, a lot of people.
Okay, I guess there's no further questions here by the committee. Just a little bit of an upkeep, if we can this year, get ahead of maintenance, the maintenance and the care for rain gardens and southeast side of town. Let's not wait till fall to start that.
We got a late start this year.
Last year, it was a big issue. And I say that because what I'm going to lead into right now is my understanding is Mr. Birchall is looking to retire, and you are looking to go back to taking over his position, and we're going to get 2 for 1, like it was when I first came in. So I think today is a good precursor of what you can expect. Your phone's going to start blowing up like never before. I know that how it was for Mr. Ken Schroth. A little piece of advice, best practices. If you're on a vacation and you're going on a cruise, and you're on that little bridge going onto the cruise ship, don't pick up the phone like your predecessor. It's a little bit extreme, and extreme to the point where he told me not to hang up. Tell me what your issue was. So I know you have the same type of mentality of not, if not picking it up right away, returning a call back right away for all aldermen. So I feel very confident you're going to succeed. A lot of the same people are still behind you, and it's a strong group.
Very strong
and
group.
with all these challenges. So it's been done before, so I have no fear personally of not seeing it be done again. It will put strain on you and most likely strain on every other department division head underneath you to some degree to help you succeed and conversely help the city succeed. So good luck with that one, and I mean it wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
Moving forward. So with that said, if there is nothing else here with this committee moving forward, any business, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion by Alderman Dan Barrero, a second by Alderman Ed Bugg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Before I take another one, real quick, little housekeeping too. Excuse me, gentlemen here on the committee. We talked about a little while ago, police. We moved it because it's still in process. I would like, as soon as it's ready, at the minimum, this committee, if not all the aldermen, to get a copy of that adjusted budget for the police department. So we could all get into it sooner rather than later, so there's no surprises. We have at least 48 hours minimum to get into it. If not long, I'd love to have more time, if at all possible, for all the aldermen on this committee. So if any changes were made to the fire department, I'd like to know what those are. If there are any, I'm not making any assumptions that there are. Just let us know. I know a lot of things are in flux, and those are 2 very important subject matters in this budget for this year. Another little thing about housekeeping. I discovered today, as probably all my colleagues here on this committee, that there is a town hall coming up for sure November 15th before this budget review is complete. I'd like this committee to have an idea of when that schedule is finalized as well. And I can tell you right now that my schedule is booked for the 15th, so I guess third floor can find out I won't be able to attend that meeting on the 15th either, so I'm my own person. But would love to have a little bit of a heads up in regards to those types of things for this committee, not just my person. With that said, I'll go back. All those, yes.
Yeah, there's 2 town halls.
There's 2 town halls, but one is tentative, I believe. It's not, according to the email that I read today, I received today. It's not
That's
confirmed.
tentative? They said a place and time, and
Hello, my name is Nicholas Rashard Thompson, Deputy Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office. Quick note about the town hall. The 22nd is definitive, the location is tentative. So it will be the 22nd. We're still communicating with West Aurora to make sure that they don't have anything that would interfere that day. And if so, we'll go forward with the location. If not, it will be certainly at public facilities. We'll just do it there. Like the first one will be on the 15th.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so we'll go back to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned at 4:39 p.m. Thank you, one and all.